It's the Kpopcast, and what are we taking a look at today, Supermatic?
We are going to be looking at the latest comeback from the girls of GFriend with Fingertip.
Right on your fingertip.
Tang, tang, tang.
Ding, ding, ding. Byung, byung. Songs of aegyo violence.
It seems like you just want to have a catchy song. All you gotta do is repeat a word during the refrain over and over.
Yeah, it's like a aegyo way of saying bang, bang.
Yep.
Dang, dang. Byung, byung.
I mean, can't fault them for trying.
Yeah. So what happens in this music video by the GFriend, Supermatic?
So we've got, I believe, Yunha, who is the main character, because she's the one who falls asleep at the beginning of the MV, experiencing what looks to be lucid dreaming and traveling like from scenario to scenario of all the other members of GFriend. It's really interesting.
Yeah. What do you think they were trying to tell us with this story in this music video?
Well, it's actually interesting. I mean, the song's called Fingertip, and the lyrics actually seem to be talking about like being struck so hard by love at first sight. So I think the question that they were probably, I'm not saying this is what they were going for, but what I took it as is it possible to get struck by love at first sight so hard that you're willing to do whatever it takes to have that love at your fingertips?
Huh. Weren't there also lyrics like, oh, you know, you're in my crosshairs?
Yeah, like I'm shooting for your heart.
Yeah, it's like I'm aiming and I've got you in my eyesights, boy.
Exactly.
And I'm going to shoot you.
Yep.
Like Cupid.
Like the whole thing, like tang, 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 fingertip, they say like I'm aiming for your heart.
Yeah, there was a lot of messages in this which I thought harkened back to other stuff that they've done.
Yeah, there were many callbacks to actually like all 4 of their previous tracks.
That's right. So what did we see in this that were callbacks to their older stuff?
They actually reference all 4 of their title songs. Like, for example, Glass Bead, which was their debut hit. We see what at first might seem like a crystal ball with different representations, such as a flower inside of it, or some of the members are holding it and looking at the future or the past.
And that's a reference to what?
Glass Bead, which is their first single. Yeah. And also the beads that fall out of Sinbi when she's shot by in that weird animal hunter.
Is that like the blood of your victims?
Maybe like the, I don't know.
Your aegyo victims.
A cleaner way of, instead of blood, I don't know.
Aegyo violence.
Yep, aegyo violence, there you go. They have callbacks to Me Gustas 2, which is their second single. And there's a random break in the middle of the MV that a lot of people thought was like, maybe unnecessary, but there's actually significance with that random break because they go through all 4 callbacks. The hard one to notice is that Me Gustas 2, the callback is when I believe it's Yuju. She's holding what looks like a glass bead or crystal ball, and it contains a rose inside of it. That's a reference to the album Flower Bud, which is the album that Me Gustas 2 was the title track for.
I see.
And then, of course, their big single that propelled them to like superstardom, which was Rough, the motif of clocks and running through time, which we see a lot of in this MV as well. And then, of course, their prior comeback to this was Navillera, and again, butterflies / moths, and we see a lot of that motif present throughout.
Those of you who aren't familiar, Navillera is Spanish for butterfly.
Yes.
That's right.
Many of you might have thought that was a random word they chose to go with for a title song, but hey, it actually has significance.
Yeah.
And the funny thing for me is that it was hard to really get what was going on with this MV at first. I was like many people, I'm pretty sure you were the same way. When you're watching this, you're like, what is going on? What did I just watch? I don't get it.
Well, that's exactly it. But at the same time, it provided intrigue. You know, it's like, this goes beyond schoolgirl.
Exactly.
So it was different for GFriend, at least.
Like they finally broke out of that high school concept.
Yeah.
I remember the episode we did with Navillera. I said that one thing that held me back from giving them higher praise was that they were still in the schoolgirl concept, which I wanted them to break out of.
Yeah.
So of course this time around, I'm happy because they're no longer in the high school phase.
They're in a dream world.
Yep. A very interesting...
Or an out-of-body experience.
Yes. For one, it's very wacky. It's very interesting. Like, we see, against a nice backdrop of, like, neon pastel coloring, of course. They're on a rooftop.
Yep.
And interesting set pieces, such as Umji with the animal hunter like cages. She comes home or whatever is her home, and she puts a stuffed animal in like some kind of cage thing. I don't know.
Display case.
Yeah. I thought that was random, but then after digging, I found some significance behind that. So the funny thing is, a lot of people thought that this might have been a storyline of, again, the main character was Yunha. For those who may not know, she's a short-haired girl that you see in the music video. They thought that, oh, she's just, you know, dream hopping. It's kind of like an Inception thing because she's having an out-of-body experience. But there is actually a hidden story within this music video.
Here it goes, people. Hold on to your butts.
So there's a scene towards the end where Yunha, she wakes up from her dream, right? And then she sheds a single tear before she goes back to sleep. All of a sudden, we see time rewinding.
Right.
And then the camera, seemingly randomly, it pans out into the sky and we see a constellation of stars. That constellation is actually Orion. The story contained within this video references and draws upon the ancient Greek mythology of Artemis, Apollo, and Orion, which is why Orion, the constellation, is displayed in the music video.
Oh, dude, you did it again! Okay, yes, so go on.
For those who may not know, quick rundown. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can.
Okay.
There is a ancient Greek mythological story between Orion, Artemis, and Apollo. Artemis and Apollo were twins or brother and sister, depends on which story or version you read. Artemis ends up falling in love with a guy named Orion, and the thing that draws them together is that they're both the most skilled hunters in the world, or whatever Greek mythological world it is that they inhabit. So they are the two top hunters, and it is through this common love of hunting and being the best at hunting that they end up falling in love. Apollo doesn't like this so much. So Apollo makes...
I'm detecting a love triangle.
Well, it might be kind of weird considering that Apollo is supposed to be Artemis's brother.
Well, you know those Greeks. They're all for free love.
True. So the abridged version is that Apollo did not like the idea of Artemis being with Orion, so Apollo tried to get Orion killed by sending some of his henchmen who were scorpions, at least in the story.
Okay.
And the thing is that the scorpions failed because Orion managed to kill them instead. So then what Apollo does is actually a little devious. He decides to test his sister Artemis to, for her to prove to the other gods that she is the absolute best archer among all the gods and goddesses, and tells her to shoot a random target that's set off kind of like on the farther side of the world.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
At the same time, what Apollo did was give Orion a mission on that other side of the plane. So the target that Artemis had to shoot ended up being Orion. Artemis didn't know that she managed to successfully shoot and kill the target, which was Orion. When she finds out later, she becomes sad, of course, because Orion was the love of her life. So what Artemis does is that she takes Orion, forms him into a star constellation, and puts him in the stars in the sky. So that his memory will always be present, and she can always look up and remember her lover.
Okay. Let's bring this back to GFriend.
Yes.
All right. So if you've not seen the connection already, how is this relevant to GFriend?
So Yunha is Apollo, or at least that's what I believe it is, because when we see her fall asleep, it's interesting because the soul that emerges from Yunha's body actually ends up being Sinbi, and a lot of buddies thought that, buddies being the GFriend fandom, thought this might be a cute in-joke on the fact that both Sinbi and Yuha, their real life names are both Yunbi, so they're kind of twins in that sense.
I think that was probably deliberate, right? For the story? Yeah, okay.
And then also the fact that Artemis and Apollo are supposed to be twins, or at least brother and sister. So then Sinbi, being Artemis, she's running away from Apollo's scorpions, which are portrayed by the other three members of GFriend, which is Yuju, and so on.
Oh, this makes sense now.
Yep, exactly.
Because I was like, why are they shooting each other?
Yep.
Okay, go on.
Yep, so Sinbi and everyone else with the guns, this is pretty much like Sinbi being on the run because it's Artemis who is on the run, both away from Apollo's scorpions, or Yunha's scorpions, and at the same time she's trying to find Orion, who is portrayed by Yerden.
Yeah.
So then we see Sinbi running from scenario to scenario, or in different places. She ends up in random animal cage. I felt like that might have been a reference to the fact that Orion and Artemis were hunters. So Umji having this trophy collection is kind of like, you're not the only one with trophies, I can hunt too.
And they're not just being mean to teddy bears or grovers and stuff like in their previous music videos.
Exactly. But they still had animatronic animals. I guess got to keep with some of the GFriend elements.
Keep it going,
Yep.
It's not a GFriend music video if we don't have that.
Yep. So continuing towards the climax, we end up seeing Sinbi and Yerden find each other, and then they're surrounded by Sowon and Yuju on opposite sides, and it looks like they're trapped. But the moment Sowon and Yuju, or the Scorpions, fire their guns off, Sinbi and Yerden, or Orion and Artemis, they duck, and they end up managing to make the Scorpions kill each other.
That's right.
So then towards the end, we see Yunha, who's also kind of been following Sinbi and Yerden from where they've been, and then she's kind of like, oh, what's going on? Because, like, I don't know, maybe she's keeping close to try and make sure that her plan of keeping Artemis away from Orion is still going. And then when we see Yunha on the rooftop, or Apollo on the rooftop, so what happens is that Sinbi is ready to shoot and kill Apollo, who again is Yunha in the music video, because she wants to be with Orion, even if it means she has to kill her own twin or her brother. But the thing is that it looks like Yerden doesn't necessarily want that. It looks like she's about to maybe save Yunha from falling off or not. Maybe save Apollo. Sinbi ends up shooting Yerden on accident, aka Artemis shooting Orion by accident, which is then what leads to Yunha waking up.
Yeah, I was so confused when I saw that, but now that you explained this, it
was a very clever way, I have to say, of them incorporating the storyline, but also interpreting it and making it fit within the concept of what GFriend was doing here.
Yeah,
and it also makes sense when I think about the lyrics too, because the lyrics, of course, Fingertip, Bang Bang Bang, it's all about love. It's like Artemis. Think about it. Artemis, played by Sinbi, was willing to kill her own twin for the sake of who she loved, which was Orion. Like having that love at your fingertips, it's crazy. Love makes you do crazy things, man.
Yeah, and this goes, I think, beyond the La Boom version.
the shooting love, right?
Of shooting love.
Yep. That love royale, the love battle royale.
Yeah. Wow.
It blew my mind too when I realized it, because I kept watching this music video and I was analyzing every other thing, and then I noticed upon probably like my fifth watch, I was like, wait a minute. That star constellation, is that just random or is there significance behind it? Did my digging? Oh, total significance. In fact, it's probably the most significant thing in this music video.
That's why they give it so much screen time.
Exactly.
And they focus on it exclusively.
Yep.
Huh. How much of this do you think is being lost on fans?
Probably a lot, because, I mean, if you're just a general K-pop fan, if you're not someone who follows GFriend like avidly, if you're not a part of the buddy fandom, or if you're not someone who really pays attention to their music or what they do in the videos, it'll probably be lost on you, or it'll probably be lost on you because of the wacky, colorful other aesthetics of the music video that that easily draw.
A little distracting. Yeah. It almost seems like an obligatory stuff.
Yeah.
Just to be cute and high production value, but it has meaning, significance.
Yep, very much so. I was amazed when I realized that they managed to keep this story. Again, like I said, it's the hidden story within the music video, because at first glance people think like, oh, it's just Yunha, inception, lucid dreaming, astral projection. She's just dream hopping while all her other fellow GFriend members are asleep, and she's experiencing their dreams and fantasies as well. Which is a fair assumption to make, because at the beginning of the music video, the rooftop that the girls are on, where we see like multiple scenes of them together dancing and stuff, you notice behind them they have this bright neon sign that says Fingertip. But on the side of the rooftop, it's hard to make out because it's backwards.
Okay.
But it actually says Fantasy Studios. So the building that they're on the rooftop on apparently is called Fantasy Studios, which is interesting because when we see Yunha traveling from dream to dream of all the other members, it's these weird, almost kind of like childlike fantasies that they're dreaming about. Right? A lot that all ties in together that you would not think of on first watch, maybe even second or third watch.
Well, I'm glad you deconstructed that for us, because I actually made an effort to try to do just this, and I did not succeed in the same way that you did. So very good, Supermatic. One thing that I want to say about this music video is that this is a slight departure from all the girls in the same uniform and all the same hair color.
Oh, yeah.
Right? we're giving more personality and branding for each of the individual girls. And this is something we've been talking about for other girl groups.
Yep.
And other guy groups too, but I think it's more of an issue with girl groups.
Yeah.
Where if you give each girl their own sub-brand, it gives people more of that, fans more of that opportunity, perhaps the buddies, to say, oh, X, Y, Z, or whomever is my bias.
Yep.
And it gives you a reason for it. And that difference, that uniqueness in the different personalities adds back up. I think that funnels back up to the brand as a whole, the GFriend as a whole. And I think they realize this, right?
Yep.
And this seems to be the macro level trend that we're seeing with girl groups, at least for now, for early 2017 or late 2016, that, you know, girl groups are heading in this direction.
Yep.
We also see this in their outfits, right? So even though they've got like 3 different outfits. They've got the military camo. They have the formal school-like uniforms with short shorts.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then they also have the Navy-inspired, you know, double button pattern. But within each of these 3 major outfit themes, you can see that each girl has their own variation on it.
Yep.
Right? So it's the same but different. So it's just a little bit more of that evolution to each girl being different for GFriend, and I like that. No Bond theme in this, right?
Right.
I think a lot of other people who have been around K-pop long enough are like, well, does this sound or look familiar with Girls' Generation?
Yeah.
They could have called this Goldfinger.
Definitely.
If they turned it into more of a spy thing, right? But that probably would have been too much. But it's good. This is more aggressive for GFriend. It's a little less helpless, and it's a little more, they're shooting people for crying out loud. It's femme fatale, and it's them hunting small furry animals, as always. Small animals. It was more personality for GFriend.
And I like that. I mean, I've been waiting for something like this, something different from what they established with themselves, because the thing with GFriend, and understandably, it is what brought them to the dances, what made them successful, the whole concept that brand that they had for a while, which was the schoolgirl, this high school concept, the story they told was a high school trilogy. But again, I'm glad, as you said and alluded to, they're taking a step towards evolving their style, and I really like that.
Yeah. And it's not too abrasive. It's like we're going to go in 180 style change, right, to this other thing. It's still thematically relevant with everything they've built up to this point, such that I don't feel like they alienate their existing fan base too much. Right.
But at the same time, they do just enough in the realm of like what's new or what's different that they can draw in even more fans, people who may not necessarily like them already. Yeah, exactly. So I think we're seeing more strategy behind the K-pop labels and how they're building out their brand for each of their groups. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And good job. I mean, this is not a song that, these are singles that no longer exist in isolation, right? They're always building upon themselves. And that was especially poignant with BTS, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And with all the self-referencing symbolism in this song, I mean, this is also the case for GFriend.
Yep.
What did you think of the dance?
It was interesting to me because the thing is, I noticed that it seemed a little more, I don't know if like I want to necessarily say powerful or like at least a little stronger. Okay. It felt like they were going for maybe even more like crispness and cleanliness than their previous dances that they've done. Like it was something like different for GFriend, but at the same time it maintains that GFriend feel because they've always had very interesting, fun to watch choreography, but at the same time, if you actually look at it, it's pretty hard and technical. Yeah.
I mean, one thing that always stood out to me is that with GFriend's other stuff, they had very good formation changes.
Yes.
And that is definitely the case with this one.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's the main thing that I'm taking from the dance for this one. I want to see a lot of K-pop dance groups cover this one because
they're probably
it's going to be very fun, stimulating to watch. Right, as a spectator, just seeing all those different arrangements, and you can tell, like, I mean, they're trying to create an interesting shape for the viewer from this one perspective, and that's fun to watch, I think, as just a viewer of watching dance groups.
Yep, definitely.
They also have a lot of signature, the one where they do the kick back and then step.
Oh, yes. I think that they have like a similar move to that in Rough.
That's right. Yeah, in Rough, right? And I may have not liked Rough personally, that song, But that's a very signature dance move.
Yep.
And I think we have a few moments like that in this choreo.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was just the line where they have all the different arms
Oh, yeah.
doing their thing. And then I just want to say formation changes as a whole.
No, for sure. I mean, that's a fair assessment. One thing that has helped GFriend definitely stand out as opposed to other girl groups, and I'll have to admit that's one aspect that made me a fan of theirs.
Yeah,
is when I started paying attention to all their choreography and their dances. Is just they're amazing to watch.
Yeah,
especially when you see how hard they work for their live stages, and when you see how dedicated they are to making sure they still perform all the way. There is a notable video out there. And I'll admit, this is the video that made me a GFriend stan.
Okay.
Where they were performing in the rain, and they kept on slipping on stage,
That's
but they
right.
kept on getting back up, getting back in formation, and dancing and dancing. And I was just
poor
like,
girl, the one of
these
them who
girls,
had
oh my
her what is it, her leg brace or something
Yes.
on, and she fell over like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times.
Yep. Like, just seeing their dedication, I was like, you know what? These girls are super dedicated. Like, oh my God, what they're putting themselves through. I'm a buddy.
So, of the different aegyo girl groups out there,
Yes.
who's the current front runner?
If we're talking in terms of pure aegyo, that actually would have to be kind of tough, because the thing is, I feel like girl groups these days in K-pop are trying to experiment with still maintaining that aegyo-ness at the same time trying to sprinkle in different aspects.
Sure.
But if we want to talk about in the sense of just...
The ones who have known aegyo is a must-have part of their brand. Those on this list would include A Pink, right? Or maybe CLC until recently.
Pre-Hobgoblin.
La Boom.
Okay. So like that direction.
Yeah. I think GFriend is the undisputed
Frontrunner.
for aegyo.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to dispute. I mean, they, as you said, they have their brand, they've established it, they've put themselves out there. Like when K-pop fans hear GFriend, or when you speak of GFriend, they know who and what you're talking about. It's just, it's hard to deny. They're definitely up there.
Yeah. But hey, let's keep, rooting for Gugudan and these others who are changing the game as well.
Well, it's amazing how much we've had to talk about just in terms of the music video and concept. But Peter, especially with you being the DJ, I must ask, the song itself, what were your thoughts?
You can't see it. I'm just shaking my head.
Aww.
But to me, it was very vanilla.
Really?
Very beige. Very run-of-the-mill. On that aegyo list, you know who we forgot to include? Cosmic Girls.
Oh.
Or WJSN.
Yeah, WJSN.
I bring that up because if you listen to their other songs, you could swap it out. Like, you could be playing this song, and then chorus of the other song.
I know
they
what
go
you mean.
back to back. I mean, like, they are so similar.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, this goes with what we've been saying on the show quite a bit. Commodity aegyo.
Yep.
When I first saw this GFriend music video, concept-wise, I thought, this looks inspired by a certain galactic girl group. That it made me feel like they might have been ripping them off. And as we dove into it, no, they're not.
Yeah.
But it almost feels thematically similar to another. And I think that applies to the music as well. So I'm feeling very uninspired by the music. I think it is very interchangeable with other stuff that we're hearing from the aegyo mill right now.
All right. Pretty much to sum it up, just wasn't really to your taste.
No.
Okay.
No. But I know I'm going to be playing this song. I hate to admit it. Remember when we reviewed Navillera? I hated that song to heck.
Yeah.
I kind of play it a lot now. So that might happen with this.
That's
and I just won't tell anyone.
Well,
just all of our podcast listeners.
For sure. I mean, that's also fair too. To your point about the comparison between GFriend and WJSN, when I was reading the YouTube comments on the music video, and also when I was browsing the online forums like Reddit, especially like shoutouts to RK-pop and all that, there was a lot of talk about how this gave many people vibes of WJSN's song and music video Secret. Which they came out with not too long ago.
Exactly what I'm referring to.
Yep. So I mean, I could see it. I definitely see it. I'm not denying it at all. It's a fair assessment, definitely. But in terms of the song itself, for me, it was interesting because immediately it felt a little different with that wah wah, like that funky guitar riff that starts the song.
Yeah.
Like almost a callback to like 70s kind of like disco funkish.
Yeah.
And then the other parts of the instrumental come in, and all of a sudden, like, I feel, oh, this is different, but at the same time, it sonically still has that GFriend feel to it.
Yeah, but I listen to the instrumental, and then I'm just waiting, da-da-da-da-da-da, I'm expecting, like, you know, Cosmic Girls to come in, and it's like, I don't know, this is the same problem I had with another one of Card's songs, in that, you know, it sounds a lot like their other stuff. And same problem I had with this song. It's like, I'm going to get this mixed up in my head. I'm going to start accidentally singing the chorus of another song to this one. When I listen to this, I feel like I am seeing pink and rainbows and bubbles.
Like, that's the visualization you get in your head.
That's the visualization that you get when you listen to the song.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe if you're in a bad place, you'll listen to this to feel better. But it's not the feeling that I always need to go to. But if you need rainbows and pink and bubbles and sparkles in your life and stuffed animals and glass beads and roses, then this is a song for you, my friend.
Totally not a very specific set.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess, as they say, different strokes for different folks. Because without getting much further deep into it,
you know, we should always clarify. This isn't going to be necessarily always a song for Peter. This isn't always going to be a song for Supermatic.
Oh, for sure.
But what we want to do for you, our listeners, is tell you why you should listen to it if this is your flavor. If this is your flavor of cotton candy.
I mean, I don't know. If there are any buddies out there listening, or just anyone who remotely likes GFriend, at least, wherever you lie on the spectrum, I just got to say that for me, I really liked the song because I felt like it kept that up-tempo, like that energetic rhythm and that beat that they started with in Navillera.
Yep.
Like, it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt like I could appreciate the different sounds and styles they were experimenting with here, because there's elements of like these riffs and synths, and I felt like they were playing around with different genres, which I appreciated. Like, I can always appreciate when not just K-pop groups, but musicians in general, they try to blend certain genres together, or they experiment with sounds that are different from what they're used to, but they still manage to find a way to include what they are known for as well.
It's the same but different.
Yes. Oh, is this just another high energy song again from GFriend? And long story short, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be listening to this on repeat.
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring a different perspective than I would for this. So good job.
It got to balance each other out somehow.
That's right. Good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
So how does the Kpopcast rate this song?
Good question, Peter. So, for those who may not be familiar with our show and how we do our reviews, we have a simple rubric. We look at the audio, which is what we thought of the song, how it sounds to us, whether or not we liked it. We look at the concept, which factors in the idea, the story, the music video, what it is that they're portraying, and then we overall give it a score of whether it's daebak or not.
That's right. Let's start it off with the audio.
So in terms of the audio, I like that they stayed consistent with the sounds and experimentation they started with in Navillera. But that said, and as you very well know, Peter, I like it when each comeback from a group is different enough, at the same time it's still like is out there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like this song initially upon the first few listens, but the more I listened to it, disregarding the music video, because we'll get into that.
Okay.
But just sonically, this song, I really was so close to giving it a 4. But when I found myself like on that spectrum of either 3.9 or a 4, I was like, you know what? I got to give it the 3.9 then, because if I'm debating, then you got to go with the lower end score, because it was clearly not good enough to immediately be there at the 4 scale.
True that. And buddies, we're not hating.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'll disclaim I'm a buddy too, but it's just compared to Navillera and the previous work, I just felt like this still, even though they experimented, it still fell within that all too familiar GFriend feel. And I would like to see them swing further for the fences and experiment a lot more than just still staying within a relative bubble with what they did here.
Yeah, I think this is criticism we give to a lot of groups in K-pop, and we have seen a few examples where this does happen.
Yes.
For me, this is not that case.
Oh.
In other words, they did not swing for the fences. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I could see this coming out from another slew of the Aegyo roster, the Aegyo mill, and it doesn't deliver it in a way audio-wise that's very compelling. So I'm going to give it a whole score lower than you, a 2.9.
Oh, almost a 3.
Yeah. Okay. It's not bad. I am certain that, I'm already making DJ edits of this song because I already know that I'm going to be playing this song. People are going to dance to this, at least at K-pop events. Obviously, non-K-pop people aren't going to dance to Aegyo. But this is one of those songs that people are certainly going to be requesting and dancing to, at least within the K-pop community.
Definitely.
So 2.9 from me, DJ Peter Lowe.
Okay.
The concept. Man, Matt, until today, I would have given this lower. But you've opened my eyes with your understanding for the Greek classics and literature and references to greater meanings behind the emotional connection behind these different girls. So
well, I'm glad I could do that.
I've really got to give it to them evolving this group, giving more individuality to each of the girls, having this deeper story, and just the color scheme I like. So, and the dance. The dance is so awesome.
Yep.
I don't even like Aegyo dances, but this is a great dance. They really delivered on the dance.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I guess I have to give it a 4.
Hey, nice.
I really can't give it anything lower than that because if you look at each of those areas, it really over delivered. So great job, girls. And I don't even like GFriend. So there you go. Got me GGG.
High praise from someone who normally is not finding GFriend as his cup of tea.
That's right.
All right. Well, for me, of course, bias aside, because again, disclaimer, I am a buddy, but at the same time, I got to look at this as objectively as I can because overall, of course, we have different tastes of what we like and dislike in K-pop. But I got to admit, GFriend just came at me almost out of left field with this one, especially when I broke it down, realized that hidden story of Greek mythology, and of course me being a sucker for Greek mythology, it was one of my favorite subjects in school. I don't know, just everything they stuffed into the music video, on top of it being as visually stimulating as it was, all those neon pastel colors, keeping that cute GFriend feel, but at the same time being a slight shift in tone from what they usually do. The dancing, as you said, which is amazing to watch. You check out these live stages, you can't pull away. Yeah. And then although we do not want to subject them to a live ring performance in the future. They don't need that validation. Yeah. They've already got it. They've already jumped over that hurdle. Yeah. So. Definitely. I don't know. It's just, at first I was like, am I being a little too subjective here? Am I really going to score this concept-wise this high? But the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't want to go any lower. So I actually gave the concept overall, all things considered, a very high 4.5. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, and I think that's well deserved and that's appropriate. So I'm pretty sure it's much higher than what I gave Navillera. I don't think either of us gave Navillera anywhere in the realm of 4s even. Well, maybe our critique with Navillera was playing too hard on this helpless WTF what's going on, and one of our former guests on our show, Cheryl from the Drama Candy podcast, she remarked that a lot of guys like these very innocent girl groups where I think they like it because they know she's, I'm going to say this, that they're still virgins. Oh. Right? That they're still pure, right? And that's not always my flavor, right? I don't think they have to have that pathetic don't know how. Yeah. And that was my critique of the other stuff that we've seen from GFriend. And Navillera seemed to harp especially hard on that concept. But this, we've got girls shooting people. Talk about a change. I think I know what I'm going to give it overall. Which would be? A Daybach. Yeah. And of course, if you need to ask, it's a Daybach from me. All right. Well, good job, GFriend. You managed to get a collective Daybach from us here at the Kpopcast. That's right. Thank you for listening to this episode. Where can people find us, Supermatic? Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Supermatic, which is SOUPERMATIC. And I'm at DJ Peter Lowe, playing the K-pop And
DJing
then,
the K-pop.
and then you can also find us on Twitter with the hashtag Kpopcast. So feel free to use that hashtag or tweet at us or do both.
And tell us where we're wrong. Because we especially like it when you guys disagree. I mean, we see stuff all the time, right? Where it's like, oh, shoot, I never saw that.
Yep.
And we like to call that out. We like to mention it on the show when we can, too. So there's a lot of great stuff that we're seeing from you guys, the community. And it's a communal interaction, right? It's a way for you guys to engage with each other, continue these conversations that we introduced here on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So please, just, if anything, get at us on that Twitter. Or
get at each other.
Yeah, get at each other.
Not like that, though. For K-pop purposes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.